Good morning, everybody. We are getting ready to get on our train to King's Cross. We're going to go visit our good friends Barney and Kath Barnes up in Lincoln. So come along with us. We'll show you the train and we'll head on up. Thanks. So welcome to King's Cross Station. We used an app called SeatFrog that allowed us to bid for an upgrade to first class. So we ended up getting an upgrade for about 12 pounds, I think, each. And the nice thing is King's Cross has a first class lounge with some free food and coffees and teas and stuff, so it was pretty nice. I think it was worth it.
You wanted to say something.
No, I sure didn't. Bye, King's Cross. We're heading for Lincoln now. Here's a sample of the breakfast menu for the first class train. In the mornings, they don't serve alcohol, but all the other drinks are available. Pretty nice. So here we are in beautiful Lincoln in the United Kingdom. Come with us today and we're going to take a walk around the town. Our friend Barney's going to show us things. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. It really helps us grow the channel, and subscribing doesn't cost you a thing. Let's get out there. So Barney, I'm sitting here in Lincoln with my good friend Barney Barnes. Barney served for how many years? 42?
42.
42 years in the Royal Air Force. He lives in Lincoln, which is a 2-hour train ride or about a 3-hour drive north of London.
Yeah, maximum.
Yeah. So Barney, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about your career and your background here? And
Sure. When I joined the Air Force, I left school, no qualifications. I joined the RAF as enlisted, worked up through the 5 years, and I thought, hey, I need to earn more money. So I thought, how can I do that? I then joined what we call non-commissioned aircrew, so I flew as in the back of helicopters or transport aircraft, that sort of thing, and I did that for many, many years and thoroughly enjoyed it. Going on to search and rescue, got to the top of the enlisted rank and then took a commission, and then spent the rest of my time commissioned, doing a variety of jobs. And one of them, which I thoroughly enjoyed, was out in Naples, where I met this guy here, Tim Smith. He was working with the US Navy. We were on a NATO appointment, and there were a bunch of us, and we just had a fantastic time for 5 years in NATO. I then came back to the UK to finish my time off. We had to live somewhere. We didn't know where to live. I got posted to a base close to Lincoln. My wife liked Lincoln. I liked Lincoln. In terms of the UK, it was fairly central. We didn't know where our children were going to settle. And as it turns out now, one with 3 grandchildren have settled about an hour and a half north of here. And the other daughter that lives locally just around the corner with a grandchild. So Lincoln's fantastic. And it's a lovely city to live in.
so you have 4 grandchildren now?
4 grandchildren, 3 girls, 1 boy.
Ah, nice mix. All right, so you chose Lincoln because it's kind of centrally located. How would you gauge the cost of living here, and, living off your pension and things like that?
Well, Lincoln or UK is not cheap in terms of how do I cope with my pension. It allows me and my wife to live reasonably comfortably. We've got to be careful with how we spend our money and where we spend our money, but we haven't got dogs barking at the door for bills, so
Okay.
we're okay.
So I know that we went to the Dam Busters pub the other night for dinner, and I'm going to go ahead and include some of that footage from the video. You want to explain real quick what the Dam Buster mission was?
Okay, well, the Dam Buster mission, we were alone in Europe. The rest of Europe had capitulated during the Second World War. Our Americans hadn't come into the war then, and so we had to do something. And it was called Operation Chastise, where a guy called Barnes Wallis, a great inventor, he invented what was known as the bouncing bomb. The Lancaster aircraft was one of the only aircraft that could carry it that distance, and the idea was the Ruhr Valley was dammed, and those dams provided hydroelectricity for the industrial might of the Nazi Germans. And the idea was breach those dams, flood the Ruhr Valley, and then cut off the hydroelectric supply, which was a success. Of the, I think, 133 aircrew that were involved, over 50 didn't come back. Lincolnshire is known as Bomber County. During the Second World War, it was mostly bomber bases, predominantly Lancaster, and one of those bases housed the famous Squadron 617, which breached the dam and still survives as a squadron number today.
And they serve good food. So that's a big plus too. So today, Barney's going to take us on a tour of Lincoln and show us some of the sights, and I will get it. Lincoln is famous for its cathedral and its castle, and it's also the location. One of the copies of Magna Carta are here as well.
It is, yeah. It's I mean, its history goes back a long time. We found evidence of Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age settlement. We had the Celts here. For those who aren't aware, a famous Celtic tribe, the Iceni, they were south of here. The Celtic tribe in Lincoln were the Corialtovi. The Romans then invaded in the 1st century. The Corialtovi got on quite well with them. We had nearly 400 years of Roman occupation, and Lincoln thrived under Roman occupation. We then had fallow years known as the Dark Ages. We then had Viking influence, and then the next big change was Duke William of Normandy, William the Conqueror, Battle of Hastings, 1066, and that's where Norman rule started, and when we then moved on, and Lincoln has all of that history.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the tour, and thanks for talking this morning, Barney.
Okay, good for you.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm gonna go do some filming. Hi, Kath. This looks like a big tire from one of the planes. Oh, look at Bomber. So this apparently was the Dam Busters, and these are all the guys that flew for the Dam Busters on that mission, along with their associated medals that they were awarded during the course of that mission. Very, very cool pub here in Lincoln. Now we're going to join Barney Barnes for a few minutes of his 90-minute tour. The tour is absolutely fantastic. Highly recommended if you're in Lincoln.
First of all, again, welcome to Lincolnshire, welcome to the UK, and welcome to Lincoln City, a fantastic city. My name is Barney Barnes, and I'm, because it says so on the badge, and I'm your guide for about the next hour and a half. During that time, we'll be looking at Lincoln, the uphill city that we're in now. The author, playwright, poet, John Bateman, however you want to pronounce it, Benjamin, but he described Lincoln as a city of two halves, industrial down the hill, historic on the hill, and it's the on the hill historic that we are going to be doing. We go round Lincoln, and it's not a case of I start from AD 1 and we chronologically go round to AD 2025. Lincoln just doesn't work like that. And so as we go round, we might be talking Roman, we might be talking Norman, we might be talking modern. And I'll hopefully guide you where we are historically with that. What I am not going to do though, ladies and gents, is give you a history tour. What I hope to do is entertain you for about the next 90 minutes or so. And I say 90 minutes or so, I love questions. The only silly question is the one that you don't ask. And so of course, the more you ask, the more I can embellish the story, but it might take a little bit longer. Let's crack off. Who has been down the steep hill, as we call it? But at the bottom of that hill is an expanse of water called the Brayford Pool, and it's filled by Lincolnshire's river, the River Witham, which rises about 70 miles south of here near Stamford. It flows north into the pool and then goes east out to the North Sea at Boston. But around that pool of water, archaeologists have found evidence of Stone Age, Bronze Age and Iron Age settlements. So we know Lincoln has been inhabited for thousands of years. And where we sit now is on top of a limestone ridge that runs from Dorset down in the south of England, coming northeast all the way up and out at Flamborough Head into the North Sea. It's a Motte and Bailey Castle. Motte, M-O-T-T-E, Norman word for defensive tower. And we'll have a look at one of those in a moment. And the Bailey, the wall that you see, everything inside the wall is known as the Bailey. Motte and Bailey Castle. Where we are now is the Outer Bailey. That's one of the Mottes, M-O-T-T-E, defensive tower. There is another one in the castle, which should you go in there you'll see, called Lucy Tower. And Lincoln is one of only 2 castles in Britain that have 2 mottes. The other one is Lewes Castle in Sussex. But I give you the opportunity to just cuddle up to a 2,000-year-old remains of a Roman wall. This would have been the gateway into the upper city. T.E. Lawrence to our English. Lawrence of Arabia was what the Americans gave it. They were coming into the war, they needed people to buy war bonds, and telling them stories and showing them pictures of dead bodies in the trenches in Europe was not going to be a money winner. So what can we have? Hey, we've heard about this guy T.E. Lawrence, you know, in the desert working with the Arabs. And all of a sudden, Cecil B. DeMille's, here we go, and Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, okay, look to that pillar to the right of it, and on top of that pillar, glinting in the sun, you might see the royal crown. And Lincoln is the only cathedral that commemorates the late Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee with the royal crown. These were, if you sin and go to hell, this is what you are going to share hell with. And here is a classic example. Have a look at that, your classic grotesque. Attention to detail, the claw marks. So that was again reinforcing the power of Christ and the Lord. And if you come round the other side, like I said, it still goes on today. So in about 200 years' time, it might be an AI robot that's taking people round, but they will point to this and they will say, look at the pot of gold, the serpent's tail around the gold, the pound sign, it could be dollars, it could be yen, euros, the gold coin, to remind people in 200 years' time, where in our lifetime, our greed nearly destroyed the financial system on the planet. The financial crash 2008, and that is to remind us how man's greed nearly destroyed a lot. 80, they added this bit which we call the angel choir, and it was added, consecrated in 1230 as a shrine to Hugh of Avalon, the guy responsible for rebuilding, and pilgrims would come on pilgrimage to his shrine. The doorway, again reinforcing the Christian message. You've got the seated Christ, to his left, Sinistra, people being pulled into hell by the devil. To his right, angels ascending into heaven. But this would have been brightly painted, as would the front, you know, blues.
Well, we hope you found this video interesting. As you can see, it's a beautiful night in Lincoln. We're going to go have a pint, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you maybe at the Wig and Miter.